Hello and good day to you. It is Talking Really here, and today you're going to discuss some PIP pointers for your PIP assessment and also your application for PIP. So hello, and yes, I have done this. I have done the PIP transfer from DLA, where I was on a lifetime award. I had low rate care and I had high rate enhanced rate mobility, because I have the vehicle. So I actually transferred over, and I had to wait 4 years before they did it. It came in, obviously, as you know, 2013 when they first started doing these transfers, and my transfer was 2017, and I was breaking it. Basically, I had 4 years of stress because I had this feeling that they were going to take away my car, and my car is my life because I need it to get around, I need it to go to work, I need it to do shopping, I need it for socialising, I need it to transport my scooter, and really my car is an essential part of my everyday life. And I had this big fear that they were going to reduce my mobility or actually take it away altogether, and of course 0 points don't make prizes. So I had 4 years of that. I did contact my MP, and my MP, who is a Tory, was effing useless. He basically turned around and said, "Oh well, you'll have to wait and see." Yeah, very reassuring. No help whatsoever. So that's Andrew Morrison, West Wiltshire area. He voted against lots of things to do with disability, and why would I get help from him? I have no idea. Anyway, whatever. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is the PIP application and the assessment. Some helpful pointers that you can use. Basically, if you're going through the same thing or if you need some help, then my first tip is to find an organisation to help you. Bear in mind that CAB these days are a bit of a sellout. They're a bit of a cop out with DWP and receiving payments from them. So you may or may not want to get help from them. Before all this happened, I actually did get help from them to complete my form. They were there to fill in my form for me. But I had to do all the work. I had to do all the legwork. First, I had to write out all of the answers onto paper using my computer. And of course, all they did was transfer what I wrote over onto the form. There is no other way of doing that. You have to fill in the form. And it was quite thick, obviously, as you know, the actual information they need. So they did that for me. And of course, I sent it off, and you then have to wait for the assessment. The idea of the PIP transfer, I want you to understand the whole concept of DLA to PIP. It has absolutely nothing to do with your disability. This is purely a matter of the Tory government trying to save money in the long term, but also to inflict pain on disabled people. They would obviously deny that, but there is a lot of evidence that this whole process is inhumane and fraught with problems, i.e. the assessment companies that are all outsourced, they're paid lots of money, and I can well believe they have targets to meet for refusing benefits to disabled people. They ultimately do not make the final decision. However, what they write plays a big part in the decision maker and whether you get that or not. The important thing is to fill in your form completely and fully and put in everything. Use extra paper to include everything, and I mean literally everything. So there are a couple of videos out there recommending tips for PIP assessments, and I agree with all of them. The fact is that you need to tell the truth. Do not think that you can exaggerate or lie, because you will be found out. And if you're telling the truth, if you're honest and you honestly deserve the benefit, then you should be entitled to it. So making up stuff, lying about it, is not going to help your case, and you will get found out, trust me. It may not be immediately, but you will get found out eventually, and of course then you'll get a criminal record and probably forced to pay it all back, which is a nightmare. So the idea is that you need to get help and advice. So an organisation is what I recommend, and there are lots. So for example, my age 55 plus, I could go to Age UK. They were very helpful. Because I have CP, I can go to Scope. I can go to them if I wanted. I've never used Scope, but they are there. So if you have MS or Parkinson's, then those groups are pretty proactive in helping their members to get what they're entitled to. So it may be worthwhile contacting some group or other, and make sure that you're putting down the worst case scenario. Obviously, you cannot exaggerate the worst case scenario to be every single day, because as with everybody, every day is different. For me, some days I'll have a good day, sometimes I'll have a bad day. But you cannot just put down you have a bad day every day, because that would not be realistic and it would not be true. So putting down the worst case scenario and specifying that this is how you feel on, say, 75% of the days would be more honest and open. What we're not relying on is the assessors to lie and put down false information, which is quite common. So we're not talking about that in this video. However, if you do find that your assessor has lied, then you have very great grounds for appealing it. Now, they have changed the rules so that you have to do a mandatory reconsideration first before you can apply for a tribunal. Generally, what will happen is the MR, they will refuse you again, and this is all down to wasting time. So they haven't got to pay you money, they haven't got to pay you out any money, and also bear in mind that unfortunately 90% of people give up. So don't be one of those. Don't be in that 90%, because if you've applied for disability benefit and you qualify for it, then you should receive it. There's no real argument about that. And this whole thing is not about you and what you're worth. This is about the government being the way that they are. They want to inflict all of this stuff, this hate and this pain onto people because they can. And in the meantime, they hope that they will save some money. Well, they are, in one respect. If 90% of people don't bother to carry on, they've saved 90% of the money. So, don't let them get away with it. You really do need to apply for the mandatory reconsideration. Then, if you don't get that, and there is a small chance that you won't get it, go to the tribunal. You may end up having a long slog. Now, being realistic about this, keep going. Keep the faith. it may be hard times, but eventually you will win. 75% of tribunal cases now are winning, and they're being awarded more than they would have been awarded. And when I went for mine, I didn't have any tribunal or anything like that. I was awarded higher rate on both. So it does work to some respects. However, the thing is that I was prepared for it. I had made certain arrangements, which I'll tell you about in a moment, but I was actually not going to let them get away with it. So I put my case forward and I prepared. So that is possibly why I got my award without any hassle. I probably thought, oh God, we're going to have a problem with this one. Let's just give it him, because we don't want to have all the hassle. Remembering that every time somebody goes to tribunal, it's costing money. Not your money, it's costing the government money. And they are now wasting millions of pounds fighting cases that they lose. And it cannot go on. People will see what they're doing eventually as a waste of money, and unfortunately they will carry on until stopped. And the only way they're going to be stopped is for people to see the truth. So assuming that you have your form filled in, and please, when you send it recorded delivery. Do not just post it. You want signed for postage. Make sure that you post it out well before the deadline, and the form will arrive before the deadline. I had an issue with mine. I left it a little bit late, and Royal Mail failed to deliver. It was a day late, and of course it created a whole host of issues. So don't let that happen to you. Make sure that it posted out, recorded delivery in plenty of time. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 2 months that you will eventually have to either be awarded the money, refused the money, or you will more than likely have to go for an assessment of face-to-face. Now, this could be any of the 3 companies that are out there, and depending on where you are in the world, will depend on which one that you end up with. I think I had Atos. I'm not 100% positive on that, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. When you get your letter that says, please come to a face-to-face meeting in so-and-so place, you have to prepare. Now, what ultimately my letter said was that when we do the assessment, we will consider every aspect of evidence that we gather, and this can be from your GP, from your specialist, from your so-and-so, and so-and-so. And I thought, after doing some research, I was very suspicious of this, because upon my inquiry at my GP surgery, I discovered that they had had no requests for medical records from anybody in DWP. So I asked them to provide me with a letter that stated exactly that. Nobody had contacted them in regard to my claim for medical records, because it says on the letter categorically that they would be inquiring and gathering medical evidence. Well, clearly that's wrong, and I was going to prove it. So I got this letter done. I had it done, ready to pick up on the day of the interview, because I knew what they would say. They would say that, oh, you've had that done like a day before, a week before. We probably will get the evidence. And of course, having it on the same day, they could not deny that they had not contacted them. So there was evidence in writing that they hadn't done what they said that they were going to do. And to have my medical records there for them to look at would have been a good idea, surely. But they didn't do it. So this is my preparation. Now, you can obviously argue the other way around. You could get your own medical records and take it with you. However, unfortunately, most surgeries, they charge money. And I was under the impression that the letter that I had stated that they would contact my GP. And I had to do nothing about it. So why would I then spend that money getting records when they can do it for free? So bear that in mind, that if you just want the process to go through without hassle, then, you know, take your medical records with you. They will copy them and put them in with your application, hopefully. When I turned up for my assessment, turn up at the venue early. Now, please bear in mind that it's not about lying, but if you say on your form you cannot walk over 20 metres, and then you suddenly go from the car park, which is 100 metres away, you're actually not doing yourself any favours whatsoever. If you put on your form that you use a rollator or a walking stick, or you need help into the building, or you can't do stairs, and you suddenly can walk without help, and you can go upstairs, you're really just not doing yourself any favours, but also you're lying. So, you know, you have to tell the truth. And remember the old thing about truth will out. If you lie, first of all, you've got to remember what the lie was, and B, you've got to remember not to get caught doing the lie. So if you say you can't walk, and then you're seen walking, you know, whose fault is it that you don't get it? I do strongly recommend that you take somebody with you, a companion, a professional, somebody from the charity that you contacted. Anybody, just take anybody with you. Now, there is some controversy about recording the interviews. There's nothing that prevents you from having your companion write down notes on paper. They can write down the conversation, the pointers that they hear for future use, just to remind yourself. Now, if you want a recording, again, this is up in the air, but legally you can request a recorded interview, and there's some issue around whether they will or not, but you need to do that well before the interview date. Legally speaking, they will not allow you to record the interview yourself. Although, technically, if you had your phone, you could do an audio recording and they would not know. But if they caught you and they found out that you had recorded the interview, they would probably immediately terminate the interview and possibly refuse your application. So keeping it legal and above board it's probably best to play by the rules if you want a good outcome. And bearing in mind that, you know, there are ways that you can appeal this. So even though it's a long-winded process, there are ways that you will get what you deserve at some point. So don't feel that this is very negative, a negative situation you're in. It might well feel like that at the time, but the future, you know, there is ways to get around this. When you're being asked questions, remember to answer them fully, but don't give away stuff. Don't volunteer stuff that you say. So what I would call this is rambling. Don't ramble your answers. Answer the question. So if they ask you what did you do today and what did you find difficult, keep it very concise. Answer the question fully and include everything, but don't go on forever and start talking about, oh, last week I did this and next week I'm going to be doing that and blah, 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 because it's not relevant. And you may say something that they will take the wrong way. And also be very specific about the answers that you give. So if they ask you, can you cook a meal? And you say, well, no, I can't. And then they will say, well, why can you not do it? And then you say, well, I find it very difficult to use knives and things to cut things up. Now, what they did with me is they tried to correlate that, cutting up food and cooking, with driving. They tried to say, well, you can drive a car, so why can't you cook food? That's a bit different, isn't it? Well, I've got sharp knives and there's a risk that I might cut my hands. Driving a car is holding onto the wheel with both hands and turning it. When I first arrived at the interview, we obviously the introductions and who they were. I think the person I had was a paramedic who was no longer doing that job. So I was very, very conscious that this paramedic had some limited medical knowledge, but probably had no idea what CP was or what the back surgery I had done was all about. I immediately handed her the letter that I had, telling her why I had done the letter. The fact is that the intro letter that I'd received said that they were going to get medical evidence and there had been none claimed. She was, right, okay. Well, it's not for me, it's for the decision maker. I said, fair enough, pass it on. I had to sign a form to say that I'd handed it in, and it went on from there, really. I do suspect that was the reason why I had no further problems with it. Also, the other reason I think I got through without problem was that this person was new in the job. So they hadn't been corrupted into bad ways yet. It's not them making the decision, by the way, it's the WP. So they have no influence over the outcome. If by chance you get 0, don't be surprised, because it's quite common these days. But you will be able to ask for the report, and you will be able to go through the report, compare it with what you remember, compare it with your companion, compare it with what they heard, and also any notes that you took. If you have recorded it, there has been some test cases where the judge has allowed the transcript of the audio recording into the court tribunal. So if you do record it on your phone and you have it transcribed, it may be that you can use that as evidence. But please, we don't want you to be part of the 90% that give up. You need to fight it. If you actually qualify for the benefit, then you should be allowed to get it. Right. I hope that's been helpful and it's put your mind to rest. It's been a little bit of a long video as well, so apologies for that, but please give it a thumbs up, like it and share. And of course, if you're happy, then please support the channel, subscribe, and also if you really can help me out, it would be very, very grateful if you could support me by becoming a Patreon. And it can be as low as $3 a month, or you can go for the $5, which will give you a lot more. You can watch videos up to a week before they come out, and various other little tidbits of appreciation. That is it really, just help me out with that. Right then, so thanks for watching, catch you again, bye for now.